Just wait for it. Eric, overnight, you're going to keep us informed, and I'll see you tomorrow morning on the show to talk about these oil, the oil. What do you tell me when they go up like this? You say, I see dead people?
I see dead people. And then guess what? We saw one big hedge fund blow up. They lost 50% of a multi-billion-dollar hedge fund in 2 weeks in April. And you're probably going to see a lot more blood in the streets. I do see dead people in this. And this is, it's on. Remember I told you, I talked to these refiners. I talked to these producers. All of them have been saying straight through, I've been on War Room probably 40 times in the 60 days of this war. And they've all said higher, we're nervous about higher. And guess what? We're at some of the, hey, here's one for you, real quick. You know what the average price of gasoline during the full Biden term was? You know what the average price? We think of Biden as like inflation. Average price for the full term was $3.53, Steve. We're above 4, headed at 5. I mean, it's bad. Yeah. I know you got a good show, Steve. I'll see you in the morning, perhaps.
Thank you, brother. We'll see you in the morning show. We've got an amazing cold open with all this news breaking this afternoon. Let's go ahead and let it rip.
Breaking news to CNN, former FBI Director James Comey appearing in federal court for the first time since getting indicted again by the Justice Department. Prosecutors are charging him with a new set of crimes because of a social media post they say threatened President Trump. Officials are pointing to this photo that Comey posted on Instagram last year, showing seashells on a beach, spelling out 8647. Prosecutors say that is a clear threat since Trump is the 47th president. 86 can refer to getting rid of something. Comey says he is innocent. President Trump does not agree.
They know 86. You know what 86? It's a mob term for kill him. You know? You ever see the movies? 86 him. The mobster says to one of his wonderful associates, 86 him. That means kill him. It's, I think of it as a mob term. I don't know, people think of it as something having to do with disappearing, but the mob uses that term to say when they want to kill somebody, they say, 86, the son of a gun.
I want to go back to the Supreme Court ruling on the Voting Rights Act. I know you said you haven't seen it.
When did it come out? Just now?
No, it came out this morning, but basically very much narrows the Voting Rights Act.
Was it considered a win for who?
A win for Republicans.
I love it.
But my question...
This is a very good... We can end this news conference right now. I want to read it.
My question for you, Mr. President, is that some Republican governors have not responded in terms of what they're going to do. I guess early voting, for example, in Louisiana.
Republican governors what?
Republican governors.
What about it?
Early voting begins Saturday there, for instance. Should they redraw the map in the next couple of months?
I would. I mean, it depends. I mean, some states don't need to redraw, and some do. I mean, I know what the concept of the ruling. I just haven't seen the result.
James Comey was in court. He self-surrendered. He's now been charged a second time, this time over a social media post with seashells that said 8647. Do you really think that he was endangering your life or threatening your life with that?
Well, if anybody knows anything about crime, they know 86. You know what 86? It's a mob term for kill him. You know? You ever see the movies? 86 him. The mobster says to one of his wonderful associates, 86 him. That means kill him. It's, I think of it as a mob term. I don't know, people think of it as something having to do with disappearing, but the mob uses that term to say when they want to kill somebody, they say, 86, the son of a gun. I'm trying to keep the language nice and clear. They don't use that term, son of a gun. They use another term. But that's a mob term for kill him. Yeah.
But do you really think your life was in danger?
Probably. I don't know. You know, based on what I'm seeing out there, yeah, the people like Comey have created tremendous danger, I think, for politicians and others. Comey is a dirty cop. He's a very dirty cop. He cheated on the elections. He tried to help Hillary Clinton, as you know. He dismissed a lot of things that he should have proceeded with. I wasn't involved, but he should have proceeded with. No, he's a dirty cop.
Mr. Hegseth, I stand by what I said last time you were here. You were incompetent then, you're incompetent now, and you're the gift that keeps on giving when it comes to incompetence. With that, Mr. Chairman, I yield back.
Gentleman yields back. Chair, not
other than that, I'm doing great. Thank you.
Because you said you wouldn't get us into bad wars. You said you would bring down the prices. You know what I'm sad for? I'm sad for all the people who voted for Trump. I'm sad for them because you betrayed them. You betrayed a lot of that MAGA base. And you know who knows that? J.D. Vance knows that.
Gentleman's time's expired. Chair now recognizes the gentleman from Nebraska.
How much did it cost American taxpayers in terms of the strike to the Iranian school where kids were killed? Do you have that number? In terms of the missiles we used?
As I've said, that unfortunate situation remains under investigation.
You don't know how much it costs the taxpayer?
But I wouldn't tie a cost to that, to anything.
It's a reasonable question, no, sir? I mean, our taxpayer money was going there. Do you know how much it will cost Americans in terms of their increased cost in gas and food over the next year because of the Iran war?
I would simply ask you what the cost is of an Iranian nuclear bomb.
I'm going to give you that opportunity.
I would simply ask you what the... you're playing gotcha questions about domestic things. I'm not...
You're saying it's a gotcha question to ask what it's going to be in terms of the increased cost of gas.
Why won't you answer what it costs to prevent Iran from getting a nuclear bomb?
I give you that, sir, but let me...
What would it cost? What would you pay to ensure Iran doesn't get a nuclear bomb? What would you pay?
I reclaim my time. Do you not know, you had no one do the analysis of what the increased cost of gas and food on the American people are going to be?
What is the cost of Iran holding that straight at issue with nuclear weapons?
It's $631 billion, which means it's an increase of $5,000 a year for American households. Now, let me give you this point. You're saying that your operation is preventing a nuclear Iran. Will you acknowledge that there is an economic cost to the American people for doing what you believe is necessary to make Iran denuclear? Will you acknowledge the economic cost?
We have an incredible economic team that's managing this better than what the previous administration did to our economy, what the previous administration did with inflation,
you know what's upsetting? I reclaim my time.
COVID, and you're going to lecture this administration about the economy?
You know what is upsetting?
Incredible.
You didn't even do the analysis on how much it's costing the American people. It's one thing if you said, okay, it costs the American people $5,000, but we think it's worth it. That's what we've done in World War II and other wars. Here's what it costs. You got to pay for it. You don't even know what the average American is paying. You don't know what we paid in terms of the missiles that hit the Iranian school. You don't know what we're paying in terms of gas. You don't know what we're paying in terms of food. Your 25 billion number is totally off. It's the incompetence. It's the incompetence.
They hurt our military and they hurt our standing internationally, and they're hurting our standard here at home. I hope that we can move forward. I hope we can review whether these are justified, because I found no justification. We were given classified information on the second strike. I can't discuss it, but I must tell you, it's the most convoluted bull I ever heard in my life. This should be public. This is our honor. This is what it makes American a difference maker. This is what we're proud of.
It's an incredible array of false accusations.
And I yield back my time.
Gentleman yields back.
Fed Chair Jerome Powell says he will stay on the Federal Reserve Board as a governor once he leaves the chairmanship in mid-May. Powell noted that his decision comes after the Justice Department dropped the criminal case against him.
I'm encouraged by recent developments, and I'm watching the remaining steps in this process carefully. After my term as chair ends on May 15, I will continue to serve as a governor for a period of time to be determined. I plan to keep a low profile as a governor. There's only ever one chair of the Federal Reserve Board. When Kevin Warsh is confirmed and sworn in, he will be that chair.
The United Arab Emirates, the UAE, they pulled out of OPEC.
Yeah,
what do you think about that?
I think it's great. I mean, I think it's great. Look, I know him very well, Mohammed, and very smart. And he probably maybe wants to go his own way. That's a good thing. I think ultimately it's a good thing for getting the price of gas down, getting oil down, getting everything down. They have it all. He's a great leader, actually. So, no, I'm okay. They're having some problems in OPEC.
All right. Well, Secretary Hegseth, if President Trump ordered you to deploy troops to polling places during the midterm elections this fall, which would violate the law I just cited, would you implement his order? Yes or no?
What you're trying to insinuate is that the president would give unlawful orders and we would somehow deploy troops as a result. And the evidence of our department is that we've worked alongside law enforcement very effectively for 15 months. Los Angeles would have been on fire for the summer had we not come across.
I humbly disagree with that, but this is not a hypothetical situation that I'm inferring on type of voting places was 250 years ago. We're talking 2020. So if the president, again, I'm asking you, orders you to break election law, violate the Constitution and the law, would you follow the orders of the president? Yes or no?
The president, you like to insinuate that the president issues illegal orders, which he hasn't and does not.
Who would you follow, the president or the Constitution?
I will note that in 2024, troops were deployed. That was Joe Biden, by the way. Joe Biden were deployed to polling locations in 15 states. 2024, Joe Biden, troops deployed to polling locations in 15 states. Explain that one to me.
I am asking you a question now. You seem to really like Joe Biden. You've brought his name up more than many other topics today. Answer the question. Answer the question. Who are you beholden to, Mr. Secretary, the president or the Constitution?
Well,
if you can't answer that question,
very proudly served as president.
When I asked
very proudly swear an oath to defend the
Constitution in Los Angeles. He couldn't answer that either. So I think our answer is very clear. Obviously, you have taken a load of loyalty only to the president and not the people of this country.
For the commencement of the conflict, we put in maximum defensive posture we could.
That's a direct contradiction.
We moved 70.
What they said.
In this directing, can I speak, or are you just going to monologue falsehoods all over the place?
It's not a falsehood.
We moved 7,500 troops off of the X based on the intel.
Stop.
Based on the intel.
Stop. Reclaiming my time.
Because you yell doesn't make you right. Just because you yell doesn't make you right.
I'm reclaiming my time on behalf of these survivors. You just said what they said is a falsehood.
There's a much larger picture. True? There's a much larger picture at play here that included integrated air defenses, bunkers, moving people off the X
Mr. Secretary,
to ensure that they were not part of the target. We moved those troops and all across the theater, thousands of troops off the X, off of their bases, because we knew what Iran was going to try to strike, and we knew there could be a tragic moment. There could be a tragic moment where something could get through. Of course, that's the consequence of conflict, and we remember those 6 every single day.
I want to finish.
But don't play games with.
I'm not playing games. I want to finish with one more quote from a survivor of the attack, and I put this on the record. Telling the truth is important, and we're not going to learn from these mistakes if we pretend these mistakes didn't happen. Secretary Hegseth, those soldiers told the truth. Those soldiers are braver than you are.
I commend them.
They are asking for accountability. They deserve accountability, and I'm asking for the same, starting with you. And as I said a year ago, you need to resign immediately.
I commend those soldiers.
I yield back.
It only took about 5 minutes to get through this hearing today. It was an initial appearance against this new set of criminal charges. 2 charges, one including threatening the life of the president with that seashell post on Instagram a year ago. There wasn't a pleading at this time for Comey. He was just facing his charges for the first time in the Eastern District of Virginia court. The case is going to move now to North Carolina, but we got a little taste of what that might be like. And guess what? It's going to be a redux in some ways of the case Comey was putting on as his defense, like he did in the previous charges he faced, which were perjury counts. That case was ultimately dismissed out of EDVA a couple months ago. What his defense lawyers told the judge today is they're going to file a motion saying that the Justice Department has singled him out unfairly and illegally in prosecuting him this time. They made that argument before, saying that the only reason he was facing perjury charges was because Donald Trump really hated him. It ended up never getting ruled on because the case went away before that, but that is the plan again. That motion will come back into play here. There's also an indication that Comey's team wants to make sure the Justice Department and the administration, the Trump administration, protects all of their records. There's been some changes legally that the Justice Department has made about how they maintain presidential records. We could see some really interesting arguments over that as Comey fights this case. But this is going to be a different court ultimately, even though this court he was in today is one he had been in before. They even said at one point when the Justice Department spoke up and said, you know, we want to put some bail terms on him to release him under bail conditions. And the judge said, we don't need that. We've already been here before. But Eastern District of North Carolina, New Bern, North Carolina, that courthouse, a very different bench, a very different set of judges, and potentially a very different jury pool if it gets to that.
Thank you for that question. So approximately at this day, we're spending about $25 billion on Operation Epic Fury. Most of that is munitions. There's part of that is obviously O&M and equipment replacement. We will formulate a supplemental through the White House that will come to Congress once we have a full assessment of the cost of the conflict.
Sure. So you're saying the full cost at this point is $25 billion?
Yeah, that's our estimate for the cost.
Okay. Interesting, because I'm glad you answered that question, because we've been asking for a hell of a long time and no one's given us the number. So if you could get those details over to us, that would be great.
A question about Iran, and I'll give you the final 30 seconds to answer. Was Iran moving precipitously towards nuclear weapons capability, Mr. Secretary?
Even after the obliteration of Midnight Hammer, what was clear is that the intention of Iran remained in the pursuit of nuclear weapons. And after, as hard as they were hit by Israel, it created an opportunity to get rid of the conventional shield. That's why we talked about missile production and the Navy and the defense industrial base, to set them back from blackmailing the region and the world in pursuit of nuclear weapons, because we understood how much they could continue to pursue them.
What a day for news. Intense partisan warfare on Capitol Hill and throughout the rest of the country. Ambassador Carla Sands joins us on the other side.
It's surely too hard to say. What about when you took your shot at the one you call king? Where is your song for justice?
The biggest selection of plants and trees, perfect for your yard. That's what fast growth.
Real America's Voice is growing, and now it's all in one place. Introducing the new and improved RAV app, built for access, community, and choice, not paywalls. Here's the key. RAV is still free to watch. No sign-in, no membership required. Your favorite live streams, breaking coverage, and video on demand are all right there. Free, just like always.
For the War Room Posse, we have to be a force multiplier on this. We have to stick the landing.
In the White House, in the Oval Office, you're crushing it, my friend.
And if you want more, the members section is your backstage pass. Get exclusive behind-the-scenes photos and videos, insider moments from the studio and the field, and early access to new content before it goes public. Members can also unlock special experiences like virtual meet and greets, member-only auctions, and select event access, plus commercial-free viewing of certain shows inside the app. It's not just an app, it's a community. Download the RAV app today. Find it in the App Store and Google Play. At Real America's Voice, we know that you want to be a part of something bigger. That's why we've teamed up with AMAC, the Association of Mature American Citizens, to build a real community of folks who care about faith and our country's future.
There is no force on earth that can stop us from saving our country.
Want to be a part of this movement? It's easy. Just scan the QR code on your screen right now. That's right. Grab your phone and scan the QR code to join the AMAC and Real America's Voice family today. By scanning the QR code, you'll unlock exclusive content, connect with like-minded Americans, and be first in line for events that celebrate our shared values. So don't wait. Scan the QR code. Join us today and become part of a community that stands for faith, family, and freedom.
Real rights, they come from God.
With AMAC and Real America's Voice. Go ahead. Scan the QR code now.
I'm Lou, Mega Pilot from Rav's Gator Chat here in beautiful Trump County, Florida. The best place for real news is Real America's Voice.
My name is Phoebe, and I live in Florida. I love Real America's Voice. They truly speak for the people, and that's what real patriotism is all about.
Lazar Garcianovich here from Japan. Love Real America's Voice, real news, honest views, and love seeing everyone there. God bless America.
To join us. Ambassador, you went through confirmation hearing. You were with President Trump in the first term. We had some pretty tough days there. But this is getting more and more out of control. You saw the White House Correspondents' Dinner with the assassination attempt. and now today you had a character assassination of Pete Hegseth. There are lots of issues to ask about the war in Iran. There's a lot of issues about the strategy, where we are, the Straits of Hormuz, the blockade, all of that. That's not what you got today. This was full-on assault. As much as the Republicans tried to provide some cover, they just kind of folded because the Democrats went after Pete. I really admire Pete for just sitting there and taking it for hour after hour. Your thoughts, ma'am?
He gave it too, Steve. He gave it. I do admire him. And there's a lack of civility. When I went through, there was a bipartisan civility. Nobody attacked me. Nobody attacked anyone else on my panel. And I think it was less contentious. Here's the problem now. They don't have the Russia hoax collusion stuff to go after and stop his agenda. So President Trump has rolled out this magnificent agenda, working to bring down prices for Americans, working to make us more secure, to get our trade more reciprocal and fair, reindustrialize us, put us on the edge of quantum and AI so that China doesn't win. And he's reordering the global order, and the Democrats can't stand it because everything he's doing is great. He's making the world safer for us. And so they can't stop him. So what are they going to do? They're just going to attack his soldiers. And so certainly Pete Hegseth is front and center as one of the absolute important people in the Trump administration as far as these wars, and he's executing, but also the ending of wars.
Ambassador, with our troops being in harm's way today, you didn't really get a full picture because he was constantly attacked. I mean, how do we either rise above that or work around it, ma'am?
Well, I think that President Trump has done everything he can to bring back civility. He's held out his hand to enemies and friends alike. He went to the dinner, and that is in the lion's den, because most of the press, about 93%, is negative coverage. So they really don't want to help President Trump. They want to destroy his agenda. And many of them are leading on that leftist Democrat, really takeover, which is more like communism in the U.S. People don't understand. These people are intent on reordering our country and not letting us have the freedoms that we enjoy. If you just think if Kamala Harris had won this last election, what our country would be like, well, that's what they want. That's their plan for us. So President Trump needs to win this midterm. It's going to be really tough because just historically, it's tough to win when you're the president in that first midterm. But President Trump needs to. Otherwise, we're going to have impeachments for 2 years, and that's going to make it harder for him to fulfill his agenda. And so I hope that people will work really, really hard and double down to hold the House and to hold the House and the Senate. The House is going to be the hard one, but because of our magnificent Supreme Court, which is ruling constitutionally and not unconstitutionally, we now have a better chance of holding the House if some of these state houses will get busy and make sure that they have maps that are conducive to equal representation, not race-based representation.
No, the DEI gerrymandering getting thrown out by the Supreme Court in a day. Alabama's Attorney General came out. We'll be on top of that again, like we were this morning, tomorrow morning. Ambassador Sands talking about the key thing. You've got to get these special sessions called, like we just had this great special session in Florida. Ambassador, you know a lot about NATO. You were one of President Trump's top advisors in the first term as an ambassador. Your assessment of the trip the King made, comments he made, and talking about the unity we've had and how we've worked together, but also NATO's performance in the Iran war, ma'am.
Yeah, I mean, the King was here definitely projecting soft power from Great Britain to the U.S. And we all love the UK because many of us have ancestors that come from there. I'm mostly Scottish, so I have a very great fondness also for the UK. But the fact is that Great Britain has not done a good job with NATO. They have a very poor Navy. They couldn't even send a ship to help us out in the Hormuz when they finally did offer. The ship broke down, and they couldn't prosecute the Falklands War today because they're in such poor condition. They have to spend more, and they're throttling their economy with these bad policies, especially bad energy policies. And just in the EU writ large, they have bad energy policies and way too much regulation. So we're losing our greatest trading partner. This NATO, it's not just NATO, we're also a huge trading bloc, almost $2 trillion a year. And that's the really biggest trading bloc in the world. And we need to keep it. But like President Trump's national security strategy late last year called out, we're losing them not just because of demographics, but bad policy. And so King Charles was here to patch things up. I do feel better about the relationship because of his great visit, and it's a full court press, and America is shining in our 250th anniversary year. But the fact is that it doesn't change that Keir Starmer's in charge of the UK and that they are not helping us and didn't even let us use the Diego Garcia base during this initial Iran effort. And so many other European allies, NATO allies, closed their airspace to us. So I think that NATO is being rethought for real allies and not just, pretend allies so that we give them Article 5 protection.
Yesterday, the FBI Cash Patel and the DOJ, I think it was 22 warrants on these quote-unquote daycare centers in Minneapolis run by the Somalians or different Somalian groups. You had a piece up in the Daily Caller from the Daily Caller Foundation that talked about that's not the only fraud, and it was a magnificent piece about H-1B visas. We talked about it yesterday in the show and pushed it out to make sure everybody could read it. Could you take a minute or two and walk us through this? Because it's one of the most profound pieces I've seen in a long time about the issues we face in front of us about legal immigration.
Yeah, but there's so much fraud, Steve. It may be legal immigration, but these H-1B visas or the EB-2s where it's, if they're going to offer an extraordinary benefit to the United States, so they're paying people to write papers for them so they qualify for this. This is cheating. They're not writing the paper themselves. They're hiring talent for that. Or they fake degrees. Like there was an article in the Daily Morning Post saying that there were 36,000 fake degrees sold for under $5,000 to people that wanted to come to the U.S. And American employers were accepting these fake degrees. And that's tragic because what's happening is American STEM graduates are being hired at a much lower rate than foreign STEM graduates. It's at 90% of the new hires since COVID have been foreign-born, not U.S.-born citizens. And so President Trump is trying to make America great again, and he wants American citizens to have good-paying jobs. It's part of his full-court press, right? Reindustrialize, but STEM graduates deserve to have good jobs too. And it's medical, it's tech, it's engineers. In fact, some of the universities, I'll just name a few, Emory, Indiana, Stanford, they're offering jobs available only to H-1B employees. In other words, their own graduates don't even qualify if they're American-born. This has to stop, especially companies or universities that are getting taxpayer dollars. They can't prefer foreigners to U.S.-born citizens. These young people are getting hired even if they go to the same university as a foreign-born person. They're getting hired at a lower rate than the foreigners, and that even goes for medical doctors. That it is unacceptable. And so I hope that people will be aware of this and make sure that they're advocating for American citizens to get these jobs.
The Eli Crane and people in the House have initiated with Rosemary Jenks, other folks, a new bill addressing H-1Bs, which is pretty, it doesn't get rid of the entire program, but it's pretty dramatic about reforms. What would be your advice? I know President Trump relies upon you. What would be your advice to President Trump about the H-1B visas?
Well, he has a lot of pressure from the tech bros that are really involved in his administration. So it's going to be hard for him to make this change. So I think it probably has to come from the Congress making it. In fact, there is legislation from a Democrat senator from Arizona. He's saying make American call centers great again. He's saying if a company gets grant money from the U.S. government or any kind of support from the U.S. government, they should have to hire American call center employees. Can you imagine how many stay-at-home moms raising kids would love to work at home and be a call center from her home home desk rather than having somebody from, say, India answering that phone. That's making America great again.
Ambassador Sands, where do people get you on social media? Because I tell you, I think the administration needs you now more than ever to get back on board, because there's a couple of billets I think you could fill and really help the president. So where do people keep up with you?
Steve, thanks. I'm on Twitter X mostly, and then I repost a little bit on things like Instagram and Facebook. But mostly, I think a lot of people are communicating really clearly. The news breaks on X. Thanks.
Thank you, man. Appreciate you. Ambassador
Great to be with
Sands. What a day. What a day. We're going to go to the White House next. Our own Neil McCabe, he was up on Capitol Hill and following the Pete Hegseth. You know, Pete sometimes, as we've said when we've done the analysis of the live of his press conferences, maybe sometimes gets a little over his skis, but what he did today was magnificent. He stood in the breach for hour after hour and took incoming. These Democrats, they're not interested in trying to be an assistance in running the country. What they're trying to do is just destroy people. And they went all out today to destroy Pete Hegseth. Times of turbulence. President Trump gave a press briefing in the Oval, talked about OPEC, talked about UAE, find out why it's so important that this credit facility that Scott Bessent's talking about to secure the supremacy of the U.S. dollar is so important right now. Birchgold.com, promo code Bannon, the end of the dollar empire. It's free, no obligation.
Hi, I'm Ben Cozy. Isn't traveling a pain in the neck? You're cramped, uncomfortable, and forget about
This Memorial Day weekend, it's more than an event. It's a celebration of the United States of America and the people who love her. Join Real America's Voice and Real America's Music for Celebrate Freedom, a one-of-a-kind live broadcast and concert experience at the iconic Marty B's in Dallas, Texas. From 4 to 9 p.m., patriots from across the country will come together for an unforgettable night, honoring faith, freedom, and the spirit that makes this nation strong. The entire event is live, kicking off with a powerful hour of worship, followed by a national broadcast hosted by Bo Davidson, featuring voices you trust like Ben Burkwa, and building into a full concert experience with performances from Wynn Williams and Ram artist Deepak, Natasha Owens, Celeste Kellogg, and more. This is an American love fest, and you are part of the show. Tickets are free, but you must register, and they will go fast. Scan the QR code now to lock in your spot before they're gone. Celebrate Freedom, presented by Patriot Mobile and Preborn. Let's celebrate America together.
When it's breaking, we're moving.
Breaking news.
Breaking news.
News doesn't sleep. At Real America's Voice, we don't get to crash or lose focus. That's why we drink Soldier Fuel to stay ahead of the chaos, because we do this for you.
So good.
Soldier Fuel has no sugar, so no crash.
Now that's a game changer.
Here we go, all of us.
Wow, that's good.
I'm fueled up now. Used by the U.S. military every day. Now available to you.
This is huge. Built by Patriots for Patriots.
Now it's time for you to do the Soldier Fuel Challenge. Order Soldier Fuel, film yourself cracking one open, and taking the Soldier Fuel Challenge. Upload your video at soldierfuel.com/challenge, and you'll be entered to win a free shipment of Soldier Fuel.
That's what I'm talking about.
Your video could also be featured on air. Just scan the QR code on your screen or go to soldierfuel.com/challenge to enter. Drink with the RAV Hosts drink, Soldier Fuel.
Let's go.
My name is TJ Ash from Carbonville, Utah. Real America's Voice lets me express my conservative views without censorship or edit.
When the bacon wants real facts and figures, he goes to RAV. Real America's Voice, baby. That's where you get the real scoop and not the poop.
Florida Sun Goddess here. Let me tell you why I love RAV. They let my voice be heard. They give me a platform for community so I don't feel alone. Thanks so much. God bless.
Neil McCabe, as a veteran Give me your assessment of Pete Hegseth today. The Democrats, that was off the chain. There's one thing to ask probing questions, another thing to want information and understand they come at this politically from a different angle of attack. But that's not what this was about today. This is about personal destruction, just attack. Pete couldn't have a chance to get any information out before he was attacked again. You were up there, sir. Your assessment.
Yeah, Pete Hegseth is, when he deployed, he wasn't Bob on the fob. I mean, he deployed with Rakkasan. He was a kinetic leader, and you saw that today. He didn't back down. He was attacking. He was thrusting. He was catching arrows, something you really didn't see in the first term. You didn't see a lot of cabinet officers catching arrows for President Trump, and he did not relent. And so it was fantastic. And like you said before, you know, the Democrats were just going after him and after him. And, you know, the Republicans, I don't want to say they gave up, but the Republicans were asking questions like, well, what about the shipping? And what about, Ron Jackson from Texas is saying, what about the special operations budget? They were actually, you know, they're asking practical questions about their districts and about their priorities. They didn't seem to understand there was something meta going on, that this was a fight for the soul of this War Department.
Yeah, you've nailed it right there. The Republicans, this is what I was trying to say earlier, but you did a better job of articulating. The Republicans were asking good questions in normal times. But this is my point about controlled opposition. These are not normal times, and you only had to see Pete Hegseth's testimony today in front of the House. This is, you see political warfare on one side, and you see kind of the good government guys in the other. It's just, people should have come in more and more and defended Pete and started calling out the opposite members. There should have been a much more confrontation up there. And this is why Johnson, these guys just don't get it. They don't get it. And this is why it is a job to get grassroots to go out. You know, we can hold the House. I don't want to hear the doomers or the black pill guys. We can hold the House, but it's going to take a massive grassroots effort to do that. Obviously, there's some policies out there that the grassroots are not thrilled about, but also just the cut of the jib and the fighting spirit of the Republicans. Today was like a tale of two cities. They were in two different hearings. The Republicans are asking good questions to get information, and it was absolutely off-the-chain political warfare and character assassination of Pete Hegseth. What is it going to take, Neil? You saw it up there. What is it going to take for the Republicans to understand what the game is here, what the game that we're playing?
There has to be a cultural shift coming down from the Republican leadership. I mean, as a native of Massachusetts, I saw Seth Moulton, and you played Keating's clip, right? These guys from Massachusetts, right? They knew what to do. They came in locked and cocked. Like, they were attacking full on in the hallways, completely packed out. You had Code Pink out there. I didn't see them in the hearing room, but in the hallway, they were harassing every single Republican when they went to the bathroom, when they went to the elevator. And it was like there was nothing to balance that out. It's like the Democrats seem to understand that this is for real. We're playing for blood. I'm not sure what the Republicans, I thought maybe they were playing 4-level battleship. I'm not really sure, but it's a cultural change, and it has to come from the top, because frankly, the House leadership maintains the same kind of culture that we had under Boehner, where as soon as something gets difficult, they just say, all right, let's just get this off the table and move on to something else.
No, 100%. It's Boehner's mentality. One more thing. We didn't really get, there are legitimate questions. There's this Atlantic piece and others. Looks like the administration is leaking on each other, but there are definitely questions about munitions, the rate of fire, how much we have. Are we field stripping East Asia, South Korea, Japan? There are very real questions out there. But in a situation like today, you can't get a straight answer. Did you come away feeling that you had a better sense of where we are with this conflict in Iran?
I was really keyed up to hear the emphasis on war production and getting the industrial base going. $50 billion in new industrial facilities. They talked about the munitions problem. They said that the war production or the munitions production was too slow and too low. And, you know, I completely agree. And, you know, I'm well aware that the Army pre-positioned stock in Kuwait was gutted and sent to Ukraine. And that's been done at other APS facilities. And so, you know, our warfighters, if they wanted to do a ground offensive, first they have to restock because everything that was being held in Kuwait and Jordan has been given away to Ukraine.
Neil McCabe, where to people get you on social media? Good job up there today on Capitol Hill in this hearing. Where do they go?
Steve, they can find me on all the socials at Reporter McCabe. Thanks for having me on, sir.
Neil, thank you so much. Appreciate you. Good job. And Pete Hegseth, bravo Zulu today for taking that and taking it like a gentleman. Aaron Joyce, I have a question for you. You're the data person for the Commonwealth of Virginia and others. Are they going to be able to certify the election in the Commonwealth, this proposition election or this amendment to their Constitution? Is that going to be done by Friday, ma'am?
Nope. As of yesterday, Steve, well, thanks for having us on, by the way. As of yesterday, according to the Supreme Court of Virginia, they declined to issue a stay of a Tazewell Circuit Court judge's voiding of the entire election, and it enjoined the Department of Elections and localities, and you name it, from certifying and redrawing maps. Basically, said this election is void, and all of that's being appealed up to the Supreme Court. And the Attorney General Jay Jones had filed a motion saying, could you let us just go ahead and draw the maps while all this is being adjudicated and appealed? And the Supreme Court said, no, we decline one sentence. We decline to issue a stay. So there is no certifying of the vote, and that bodes very well for people who watched the appeals on Monday of the Republicans who were challenging how the majority Democrats in the Assembly sort of just rammed through this constitutional amendment, and so it bodes well, and people are kind of encouraged by it based on how the questioning went, and then how the judges basically said, no, we're gonna keep the stay in place, because if they were thinking of lifting the injunction and letting the votes go through, they would have said, yeah, go ahead, get started. But so that's what happened Tuesday. And we'll see what happens from there. But frankly, from our standpoint as a data company that follows voter data and who qualifies to look at Virginia's voter list, the votes have been so off this time around. And I'll go back to what I said the last time I was on your shows, because this was so rushed. The localities, 133 localities across Virginia, had about a week and a half, maybe 2 weeks to get ready. Normally they take about 6 months to get ready for an election. They had 2 weeks to get ready for this election. Now, granted, it was only one question, but they had to order ballots. They had to test the machines. They had to know who was voting. They had to figure out who was going to work these elections. So it was a scrambly mess, and we've seen that in the voter data, as we explained to you. The numbers are still off. We've counted up all the localities, and we've counted up all the precincts inside those localities, about thousands of precincts. And the no votes are still off by about 30,000, and the yes votes are still off by about 60,000. So there's just a lot of votes that have to be filtered out and figured out. But as it stands now, Steve, it's looking like none of these votes will get counted, or at least not now. Maybe at a later date.
Well, hang on a second, because I think somebody told me if it's not done by next Tuesday, this whole thing has to be postponed. Of course, we've had major developments in Florida, and we've had major developments at the Supreme Court. But let me go back, because I know our audience's head's blowing up right now. You said to get prepared for this, you really needed 6 months. And they did it in a week and a half or 2 weeks.
About 2 weeks.
And that led to, you're saying the vote count is not right on both the Republican and Democratic side, one by 30,000, the other by 60,000. Is that correct?
That is correct. So we took Department of Elections' own summary data. That's the data that they put out to the public on their website on election night. It's in what's known as a JSON feed. That's a geek talk for Java object notation, JavaScript object notation. JSON, JSON is the acronym. And that gives you the election night summary data. They give you the numbers. and then they roll in the 45 days of early voting, which represents about a third of the total vote, a third of the 3 million or so votes that were cast, or ballots that were cast. And those numbers still don't add up. John LaRoe, our executive director, he's a brilliant data scientist, does this as a volunteer. He added up the yes votes between localities and the actual precincts in those localities. Like Fairfax, for example, has over 200 voting precincts. Richmond City, for example, has probably, I think, 85 different neighborhoods where you vote. So each of those are a precinct, and we see a 67,364 ballot difference in the yes votes between localities and precincts, and about a 29,930 ballot difference in the no votes. So our theory is that many of the localities just haven't figured out their votes yet, or they haven't uploaded into the feed that Virginia Department of Elections puts out to the public, and that's in addition, to the counts that keep going down from early voting that we still see since we discovered that Chesterfield had put an extra 70,000 votes in their count, which they later corrected. So my point is that this was one of the most rushed elections we've seen in years. We've been doing this for about 4 years now as a nonprofit. And we've seen sloppy years. 2020 still ranks as pretty off the charts, but we've seen sloppier years. We've seen better years. We had seen actually a steady progression of improvement in data quality. This one was just crazy. We saw votes coming in that were date stamped November 2025. We saw some ballots in the system from data provided by the Department of Elections of ballot stamped 2022. This is highly suggestive that they didn't finish testing the machines in time, and didn't catch some of these glitches before they fired up the machines and got people early voting. So,
Aaron, hang on a second. Hang on. Slow down. Okay. Let's put aside for a second the constitutional issues and the legal issues that were argued in front of the Supreme Court on Monday. Are you telling me that are they trying to go through what you just mentioned right now and try to certify this? Is this election, regardless of whether it can be held, it was rushed, it's either going to be legal or not, which will be some court will decide. Is it possible to certify this election just off what you guys have seen on the data in the voting in a normal certification process?
The short answer is that they have to certify. They will certify what they can, no matter what, and then hope that they figure it out in the provisional and in other canvases. But yes, the short answer is yes, that they'll just go with the number. Now, Fairfax County's numbers add up. A lot of the big counties' numbers do line up, their locality numbers and the precinct numbers. So, and of all the vote differences we see, the yes votes are still squeaking out a win. Interesting point, though, Steve, in front of the Supreme Court on Monday. One of the justices asked the Solicitor General for the Commonwealth of Virginia, and that would have been for Spanberger administration. Does the yes vote, or the squeaker of a yes vote, because it's very close, does that matter in these legal proceedings? And the Solicitor General himself said no. So he kind of undermined Jay Jones, the Attorney General himself, who had just been on CNN saying, look, the people have spoken, this vote must count. No. That when you change the Constitution, you can't just plow through the
Hang on one second. We're going to go to a short commercial break. Aaron Joyce is with us. She'll be with us on the other side.
We rejoice when there's no more. Let's take down the CCP.
I'd like to say this is the first time.
This Memorial Day weekend, it's more than an event. It's a celebration of the United States of America and the people who love her. Join Real America's Voice and Real America's Music for Celebrate Freedom, a one-of-a-kind live broadcast and concert experience at the iconic Marty B's in Dallas, Texas. From 4 to 9 p.m., patriots from across the country will come together for an unforgettable night, honoring faith, freedom, and the spirit that makes this nation strong. The entire event is live, kicking off with a powerful hour of worship, followed by a national broadcast hosted by Bo Davidson, featuring voices you trust like Ben Berkman Iroquois and building into a full concert experience with performances from Wynn Williams and Ram artist Deepak, Natasha Owen, Celeste Kellogg, and more. This is an American Love Fest, and you are part of the show. Tickets are free, but you must register, and they will go fast. Scan the QR code now to lock in your spot before they're gone. Celebrate freedom, presented by Patriot Mobile and Preborn. Let's celebrate America together.
When it's breaking,
we're moving.
Breaking news.
Breaking news. News doesn't sleep. At Real America's Voice, we don't get to crash or lose focus. That's why we drink Soldier Fuel to stay ahead of the chaos, because we do this for you.
So good.
Soldier Fuel has no sugar, so no crash.
Now that's a game changer.
Here we go, all of us.
Wow, that's good.
I'm fueled up now.
Used by the U.S. military every day. Now available to you.
This is huge.
Built by Patriots for Patriots.
Now it's time for you to do the Soldier Fuel Challenge. Order Soldier Fuel, film yourself cracking one open, and taking the Soldier Fuel Challenge. Upload your video at soldierfuel.com/challenge, and you'll be entered to win a free shipment of Soldier Fuel.
That's what I'm talking about.
Your video could also be featured on air. Just scan the QR code on your screen or go to soldierfuel.com/challenge to enter. Drink with the RAV hosts drink. Soldier Fuel.
Let's go.
My name is TJ Ash from Carbonville, Utah. Real America's Voice lets me express my conservative views without censorship or edit.
When the bacon wants real facts and figures, he goes to RAV. Real America's Voice, baby. That's where you get the real scoop and not the poop.
Florida Sun Goddess here. Let me tell you why I love RAV. They let my voice be heard. They give me a platform for community so I don't feel alone. Thanks so much. God bless.
Republican Party to understand this war that we're in. You didn't see it today on Capitol Hill in defense of Pete Hegseth or the administration's policies in this war. And I've got big questions about some of the policies in the war, but that's different than trying to destroy people and trying to destroy President Trump and everything that the MAGA movement stands for. Also, huge decisions today in Florida, decisions made at the Supreme Court, but people got to get in there and fight for that. Remember, DeSantis got nothing but grief for this and going 24-4 in Florida. Also, the Supreme Court, they're up to Axios reporting up to 19 seats in play, at least 12. But we need Republican governors and state legislators to get on it right now. Start calling special sessions. We got to fight for this. Aaron Joyce, I want everybody to go to your site and check the data out. We're going to have you back on as we get to Friday about whether they can certify or not. What's your social media and what's the site? Where do people go?
Well, thanks again, Steve. We're Electoral Process Education Corporation, EPIC, epec.info, the little nonprofit with the big data. That's our Substack, epic.substack. On X, we're on Epic Team. You can find me at Aaron Joyce, and John LaRoe. You should also Google him at Digital Poll Watchers. And we appreciate the time to explain it out, Steve. Much obliged.
Amazing, Aaron. You guys do great work. Thank you so much. As the Commonwealth of Virginia, a lot in play there. And these arguments went so well on Monday, people were keeping out hope. But, hey, those judges they have to be certified by now a state legislature that is Democrat, thanks to Youngkin and the Republican establishment that basically cratered and crashed. All Family Pharmacy has a special deal, 30% off for War Room Posse members. allfamilypharmacy.com/Bannon30. Bannon30. Make sure that you take care of this today. This will expire, I think, tomorrow, so make sure you get on it. Michael Kunzler and the team. Allfamilypharmacy.com. We got an entire process. You're going to have pharmacists. You have licensed, certified physicians and medical personnel that can get you the vitamins and drugs that you need. allfamilypharmacy.com/Bannon30, 30% off. So let's get on it today. Kunzler and those guys doing a great job. Steve Stern, you have a precinct strategy meeting tomorrow. I want to make sure all the We're going to carry it here on War Room, but I want to make sure all the War Room posse knows about it and puts it on their calendar. What time is it going to be? Who's going to speak? What are you guys going to do?
Going to be 2 o'clock tomorrow, Eastern Time. It'll be on Stern American Rumble, as well as 100 podcasters. We are going to have terrific speakers. It's being going to call precinctprojectusa.org. We want everybody to join precinctprojectusa.org. And why is that important? Because we're going to have monthly newsletters. There's going to be staff there around the clock to let you know where to join, how to join. You're going to learn how to recruit new members. Now, we have 400,000 slots, 200,000 people involved. Just recently, over the last 3 months we started this, in just one state, they've got 2,720 new members. Nancy Pelosi is going to talk about that from Colorado tomorrow, of all places, Colorado. Jeff Davis is going to speak from South Carolina. Now, why I love him, myscgop.com. Every day he sends out a newsletter to everybody in South Carolina. Andy Mahon from Butler, Pennsylvania is going to be talking about what's there. He's going to be talking about his guides. We're going to have a girl from Florida on there, Karen Leonardo. She's going to be talking about her handbooks. We're going to let people know how to get involved, because we could have all the states reassign, Republicans, but if we don't come out to vote, it's not going to happen.
Amen.
We're going to have Annie Parchin on from Illinois Freedom Alliance.
Amen.
She's fought the Republicans there and won her election. Cynthia Haggett from Missouri. So come tomorrow. I know we have limited time today.
Yeah. What time is it, and where do they go right now? What time is it going to be? 2 o'clock.
2 o'clock. You can go to Stern American Rumble. You can go to the War Room. You can go to Getter, X. You can email me at sstern1054@gmail.com.
Yeah.
And next Wednesday, we're going to have our election security call with a special guest, John Goodman, who's going to give you information that you're going to want to know about. And Steve Bannon, you're going to want to know about this too.
Thank you, sir. Tomorrow at 2, we're going to stream it on all of our platforms here on War Room. Steve Stern, great job. Stern's absolutely correct. Just because we're having these victories in Florida, the Supreme Court got all these districts that have been DEI or gerrymandered by the Democrats, it's still dependent upon the grassroots to turn out. But the grassroots understand this is political warfare. Maybe this Republican Party doesn't, but the grassroots definitely do. Trevor Comstock, let's end on a positive, upbeat note, as only sacred human health can do, sir.
Yeah, great to see you, Steve. Real quick, I did want to mention that as of today, we are currently running our Mother's Day sale. So if you did want to take advantage of it, you can use code MOTHER at checkout for 15% off any one-time order. Wanted to highlight that. Also, I did want to mention, just because we've been having some amazing reviews around it, just our Sacred Healing Salve. Like I said, there's been a ton of people having success with it in terms of healing their burns and scrapes really fast, as well as healing a lot of joint pain and muscle cramps that they've been struggling with for a while. So for anyone that doesn't know, it's a very unique and effective product. What makes the remedy so effective is due to the organic comfrey, which is the main ingredient. And comfrey's just been used for centuries to support things like pain relief, inflammation, bruising, and even tissue repair. So a lot of people love to use it for things like sore muscles, if you have joint pain, if you have sprains, swelling, or even arthritis support works great in that scenario. Basically, you just take a little bit, you rub it onto any area of your body that needs relief, and then we also pair the comfrey with other nourishing herbs to help soothe things like the cuts, the scrapes, the burns, and even insect bites. It works really well. So it's an incredibly powerful and versatile product. Like I said, if you do struggle with joint pain, muscle soreness, or have some burns and scrapes, it helps heal those up very fast. And a little bit goes a long ways. And just like our other products, we don't include any chemicals or any synthetic ingredients within it. And each jar of it is handmade. And we always promise to source the highest grade ingredients possible. So like I said, the reviews have been pretty incredible. A lot of people healing a lot of pain and burns fast. So check it out.
Okay. Can you, one more time, where they go? See the reviews, folks. The reviews will blow you away. It's like Warpath Coffee. Where they go, Trevor?
Yeah, you can go to sacredhumanhealth.com, and then, like I mentioned, you can use code MOTHER at checkout for 15% off any one-time order. And as always, just let us know if you have any questions.
Trevor Comstock, my dad would be so impressed. Just passed away a couple of years ago, that we are working with a company that has all this sophistication and handmade products, when his thing was go out, Rub some dirt on it. It'll be fine. You're playing baseball or football. Trevor, thank you so much, man. People love the company. How do we prove that? Just go to the website now and check the reviews. They love these products. Stick around. The second hour of the War Room on a Wednesday is upon us.
When we started Allegiance, we were shocked to learn how many American flags are actually.
This Memorial Day weekend, it's more than an event. It's a celebration of the United States of America and the people who love her. Join Real America's Voice and Real America's Music for Celebrate Freedom, a one-of-a-kind live broadcast and concert experience at the iconic Marty B's in Dallas, Texas. From 4 to 9 p.m., patriots from across the country will come together for an unforgettable night, honoring faith, freedom, and the spirit that makes this nation strong. The entire event is live, kicking off with a powerful hour of worship, followed by a national broadcast hosted by Bo Davidson, featuring voices you trust like Ben Burquois, and building into a full concert experience with performances from Wynn Williams and Ram artist Deepak, Natasha Owen, Celeste Kellogg, and more. This is an American Love Fest, and you are part of the show. Tickets are free, but you must register, and they will go fast. Scan the QR code now to lock in your spot before they're gone. Celebrate Freedom, presented by Patriot Mobile and Preborn. Let's celebrate America together. An improved RAV app built for access, community, and choice, not paywalls. Here's the key. RAV is still free to watch. No sign-in, no membership required. Your favorite live streams, breaking coverage, and video on demand are all right there. Free, just like always.
For the War Room Posse, we have to be a force multiplier on this. We have to stick the landing.
In the White House, in the Oval Office, you're crushing it, my friend.
And if you want more, the members section is your backstage pass. Get exclusive behind-the-scenes photos and videos, insider moments from the studio and the field, and early access to new content before it goes public. Members can also unlock special experiences like virtual meet and greets, member-only auctions, and select event access, plus commercial-free viewing of certain shows inside the app. It's not just an app, it's a community. Download the RAV app today. Find it in the App Store and Google Play.
Good evening, America, and welcome to the Wednesday edition of Just the News, No Noise. I'm your host, John Solomon, reporting to you, as always, from the nation's capital, Washington, D.C., where those who believe that race should not play a role over merit or who are Republicans are having a good day today. Why? There was a massive ruling handed down by the United States Supreme Court that will have a major impact on the upcoming midterms to the benefit, most likely, of conservatives and Republicans. Earlier today, the court released an opinion striking down a set of Louisiana congressional district maps that added a second majority black district. The court ruled very clearly, race cannot be a primary consideration when you're doing redistricting. Now, politics can, but not race. Now, why is that important? Well, first, those two Louisiana districts are going to be declared illegal. They're Democrat-leaning. They're likely to be redrawn Republican. Meanwhile, other states are doing exactly the same thing. Florida today passed a brand new map in compliance with this ruling that adds 4 Republican seats to the state of Texas. Just got the okay from the Supreme Court to do 5 more seats that are going to lean more Republican. The argument at hand is whether or not race can play a role. As we know, the court has ruled in the past you can't use race for college entry, and now you can't use race predominantly as a reason for making congressional districts. Justice Samuel Alito wrote the majority decision. He wrote, because the Voting Rights Act did not require Louisiana to create an additional majority-minority district, no compelling interest justified the state's use of race in creating that district, and that map is an unconstitutional racial gerrymander. Now, the 6-3 decision is going to trigger, as I said, a series of redraws, predominantly across the South, predominantly with Republicans picking up districts. The question now is how many of those can be done before the 2026 election and how many will wait to 2028. Florida got it done today. Texas is already done. Louisiana will be in the process. Mississippi just called a special session to be concurrent with this release of the ruling. meaning that Republicans are going to speed to it. Meanwhile, Democrats have another problem. The two big redistrictings they have done, Prop 50 in California and the one in Virginia, which picked up about a net 9 seats for Democrats. All of those relied on race in some way. If you look at the ballot initiative or the actual language that was used, they did race, which means it's going to open up a new avenue to block those redistricting movements over the next few months. Keep an eye on that. This could be a major tipping point for Republicans in the battle for control of Congress. We're going to talk about that all show. We're lucky in just a few minutes to be joined by a lawmaker from one of the states that is Event, Louisiana. Congresswoman Letlow will be here in just a second. Now, before we get to that, one other thing, and then I'm going to toss things over to my amazing co-host, Amanda Head. But first, just a few moments ago, the United States House of Representatives did approve an extension of the warrantless surveillance powers known as FISA. There are a lot of concerns that, there are some reforms made by President Trump and by this Congress, but maybe not far enough yet. But the House has decided to give it a shot, let it roll for 18 months with the notion that Donald Trump can fix whatever is left to be fixed before the end of his presidency. It goes over to the Senate, where it is expected to also get passed. With that, I will turn over to my amazing co-host, Amanda Head. We've been talking about this day for a long day. It happened. Republicans have some election momentum now.
Absolutely. I think Democrats are maybe worrying that they are catching up with the bumper of their gerrymandering quest. But yes, speaking on that issue, a Rasmussen Reports poll found that 88% of likely U.S. voters believe it is a serious problem when states deliberately redraw congressional districts to favor one party, and 65% say it's a very serious problem. Now, the poll follows last week's very narrow approval by Virginia voters for a referendum that would allow for a series of congressional maps that is most definitely going to benefit Democrats. However, legal challenges, of course, have blocked that implementation of the referendum. And additionally, 52% of Republicans believe that Democrats are more likely to engage in partisan gerrymandering, while 47% of Democrats think that Republicans are more inclined to do so. When considering Virginia, the answer becomes quite clear. Now, President Trump welcomed the Artemis II astronauts to the White House earlier today, where he faced a number of questions on topics ranging from Iran to former FBI Director James Comey and even UFOs. So let's take a listen to what the president had to say about Iran, because it seems like he is offering them an easy way out. Listen.
Militarily, we've wiped them out. They have no military left. It's all the Navy's at the bottom of the sea. The Air Force is never going to fly again. We've got an amazing military. Now they have to cry uncle. That's all they have to do. Just say, we give up. We give up. But their economy is really in trouble. So it's a dead economy.
So Iran is most definitely feeling the squeeze at this point. So I spoke to a number of members of Congress today, and they feel like this is going to be coming to a close very soon. But, John, I want to go back to the gerrymandering thing for just a moment, because this is how I know that it's Democrats who gerrymander more than Republicans, without even looking at the history of it or the numbers or the breakdown. Anyone can see when you look at a map of any state that is a blue state, it is because of the blue cities. So what Democrats have to do is they have to take little pieces of those pockets and they have to turn them into lobsters in Virginia's case. So it's Democrats, because they have this concentration of Democrats in these small places. But the genius of our founding fathers and the genius of our electoral college was they wanted to weigh the balance between states that had sparse amount of people but vast resources, and places that had a lot of people, and balance those resources between the two of them. And Republicans, I think, are just, maybe they're doing better at the gerrymandering game than Democrats thought.
I think the court will have had a profound effect on the 2026 election. We still got Mississippi to go. Remember, Mississippi is the decision that says you may not be able to count ballots after Election Day. That's another big trick that the Democrats use. But as America has become more red, racial gerrymandering has become more important to the Democrats. This takes a big one. You could tell Barack Obama was hopping mad today. The Democrats they've got nothing really to fight with now. This could really have a profound effect on 26, 28. And then by the time the 30 census comes along, there's an estimate of 21 seats coming back to Republicans that have been moving Democrat because of the gerrymandering. So let's wait and see. Now, one thing the court did say, if you just use pure politics, you can do it. So unfortunately, Democrats always are subject to race, so they even structure their California and Virginia ones around race, and that's probably going to bite them in the derriere. All right. Earlier today, we had a chance to talk to the Congresswoman in the middle of this. She represents Louisiana. She's been on the show several times talking about it. Congresswoman Julia Letlow was pretty excited about what happened today. Have a watch. All right, folks, we get the perfect guest to kick us off. She comes from the state where that historic Supreme Court ruling came just a few hours